What's good with the YouTube of Convicts Perspective? It's your boy, Big Flacco, smashing, dashing, sliding on through with a little bit of energy. And my co-host, Big Senor Rojo. What's cracking, YouTube, man? We got an interesting article we're going to be discussing. It just came out this past Sunday. And it talks about the Federal Board of Prison is currently under investigation for a lot of things that have occurred since 2019. We're going to get into some details. This article gets really interesting.
This is from usnews.com, November 14th of this year. Title, Inside Federal Prisons, Employees Are Committing the Crimes. An Associated Press investigation has found that more than 100 Federal Bureau of Prisons employees have been arrested, convicted, and or sentenced in criminal cases since the start of only 2019. This is by Michael Balsamo and Michael Siask. More than 100 federal prison workers have been arrested, convicted, and or sentenced for crimes since the start of 2019, including a warden indicted for sexual abuse, an associate warden charged with murder, guards taking cash to smuggle drugs, weapons, and phones, and supervisors stealing property such as tires and tractors. An Associated Press investigation has found that the Federal Bureau of Prisons, with an annual budget of nearly $8 billion, is a hotbed of abuse, graft, and corruption, and has turned a blind eye to employees accused of misconduct. In some cases, the agency has failed to suspend officers who themselves have been arrested for crimes. 2/3 of the criminal cases against the Justice Department personnel in recent years have involved federal prison workers. Of the 41 arrests this year, 28 were BOP employees or contractors. The FBI had just 5. The DEA and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have each only had 2. These numbers highlight how criminal behaviors by employees festers inside a federal prison system meant to punish and rehabilitate people who have committed bad acts. The revelations coming as advocates are pushing the Biden administration to get serious about fixing the Bureau. In one case unearthed by the Associated Press, the agency allowed an official at a federal prison in Mississippi, whose job it was to investigate misconduct of other staff members, to remain in his position after he was arrested on charges of stalking and harassing fellow employees. That official was also allowed to continue investigating a staff member who had accused him of a crime. In a statement to the AP, the Justice Department said it will not tolerate staff misconduct, particularly criminal misconduct. The department said it is committed to holding accountable any employee who abuses a position of trust, which we have demonstrated through federal criminal prosecutions and other means. Attorney General Merrick Garland said his deputy, Lisa Monaco, meets regularly with Bureau of Prison officials to address issues plaguing the agency. Federal prison workers in nearly every job function have been charged with crimes. Those employees include a teacher who pleaded guilty in January to fudging an inmate's high school equivalency, and a chaplain who admitted taking at least $12,000 in bribes to smuggle Suboxone, which is used to treat opioid addiction, as well as marijuana, tobacco, and cell phones, and leaving the items in a prison chapel cabinet for inmates to retrieve. At the highest ranks, the warden of a federal women's prison in Dublin, California, was arrested in September and indicted this month on charges he molested an inmate multiple times, scheduled times where he demanded she undress in front of him, and amassed a slew of nude photos of her in his government-issued phone. Warden Ray Garcia, who was placed on administrative leave after the FBI raided his office in July, allegedly told the woman there was no point in reporting the sexual assault because he has close friends with the person who would investigate the allegations, and the inmate wouldn't be able to ruin him. Garcia has pleaded not guilty. Garcia's arrest came 3 months after a recycling technician at FCI Dublin was arrested on charges he coerced 2 inmates into sexual activity. Several other workers at the facility, where actresses Felicity Huffman and Lauren Laughlin spent time for their involvement in the college admissions bribery scandal, are under investigation. Monaco said that after Garcia's arrest that she was taking a very serious look at these issues across the board and insisted she had the confidence in the Bureau's director, Michael Carvajal, months after senior administration officials were weighing whether to oust him or not. In August, the associate warden at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York City was charged with killing her husband, a fellow federal prison worker, after police say she shot him in the face in their New Jersey home. She has pleaded not guilty. 1/5 of the BOP cases tracked by the AP involve crimes of a sexual nature, second only to cases involving smuggled contraband. All the sexual activity between prison workers and an inmate is considered illegal in every state. In the most egregious cases, inmates said they were coerced through fear, intimidation, and/or threats of violence. A correctional officer and drug treatment specialist at a Lexington, Kentucky Prison Medical Center were charged in July with threatening to kill inmates or their families if they didn't go along with sexual abuse. A Victorville, California inmate said she has felt frozen and powerless with fear when a guard threatened to send her to the hole unless she performed an act on him. He pleaded guilty in 2019. Theft, fraud, and lying on paperwork after inmate deaths have also been issues. Earlier this month, 3 employees and 8 former inmates at the notorious New York City Federal Jail, where financier Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, were indicted in what prosecutors said was an extensive bribery and contraband smuggling scheme. The Justice Department closed the jail in October, citing deplorable conditions. Last year, a gun got into the building. One of the charged employees, a unit secretary, was also accused of misrepresenting gang member Anthony Harv Ellison as a model inmate to get him a lesser sentence. The Bureau of Prisons, which houses more than 150,000 federal inmates, has lurched from crisis to crisis in the past few years. From the rampant spread of corona inside prisons and a failed response to the pandemic, to dozens of escapes, deaths, and critically low staffing levels that have hampered responses to emergencies. In an interview with the Associated Press, more than a dozen Bureau staff members have also raised concerns that the agency's disciplinary system has led to an outside focus on alleged misconduct by rank and file employees, and they say allegations of misconduct made against senior executives and wardens are more easily brushed aside. The main concern with the Bureau of Prisons is that wardens at each institution, they decide if there's going to be any disciplinary investigation or not, says Susan Canales, vice president of the union at FCI Dublin. Basically, you're putting the fox in charge of the henhouse. At the federal prison in Yazoo City, Mississippi, the official tasked with investigating staff misconducts has been the subject of numerous complaints and multiple arrests. The Bureau has not removed him from his position or suspended him, a deviation from standard Justice Department practice. In one instance, a prison worker reported that the official assaulted him inside a housing unit, according to a police report obtained by the Associated Press. Internal documents detail allegations that the official grabbed the officer's arm and trapped him inside an inmate cell, blocking his path. The same official was arrested in another instance when a different employee contacted the local sheriff's office, accusing him of stalking and harassing her. The AP is not identifying the official by name because some of the criminal charges were later dropped. In both instances, the victim said they reported the incidents to the prison complex warden, Shannon Withers, and to the Justice Department's Inspector General. But, they say, the Bureau of Prisons failed to take any action, allowing the official to remain in his position despite pending criminal charges and allegations of serious misconduct. A Bureau spokesperson, Christy Brashears, declined to discuss the case or address why the official was never suspended. Brashears says the agency is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all inmates in our population, our staff, and the public, and that the allegations of misconduct are thoroughly investigated for potential administrative discipline or criminal prosecution. The Bureau says it requires background checks and carefully screens and evaluates prospective employees to ensure that they meet its core values. The agency said it requires its employees to conduct themselves in a manner that fosters respect for the BOP, Department of Justice, and the United States government.
Wow. You know what the first thing that stands out to me, Rahul, is it said 150,000 inmates. That's not much bigger than the California Department of Corrections inmates.
Yeah.
And to have that many allegations, man, that's just crazy. And one other thing too, man, that stands out is what you read at the end, the screening process. You would think anything that's related to the federal government would have such a harsh protocol to screen these individuals before they employ them to prevent these type of crimes from happening.
No doubt. That's crazy, bro. That's a lot of different shit. I mean, when you got that amount of employees in any line of work, there's going to be problems. It's going to be a damn public relations issues. It's going to be what are those people? Human resources. There's going to be all kinds of those things, man, because people just don't mesh. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot of complaints and bickering and, you know, failures to see eye to eye, things of that nature, man. But on this level, to be, you know, a United States government employee that's assisting gang members, sexually assaulting people, things of that nature, under cover of authority, man, you would think this would be a much more broadly discussed thing, man. But when, you know, it's certain people, things get swept under the rug and hushed, and that's just the way they are.
That's the whole thing. I'm surprised the AP was able to run this story, man. And we're going to see how much traction it gets because this story just dropped Sunday. And, you know, from our past history, when we were both actively in the mix during our prison time, there wasn't that much attention on the inmate population. There was a lot of abuses that occurred, and now it's even on a higher level. But the stuff that we're hearing that's going on in the federal government, man, I mean, the abuses of women, the smuggling of contraband and drugs, you know, to all kinds of different activities, you know, to stealing stuff and all that. You would think, like, this is a thing that I've talked about numerous times. I feel anybody that's put in a position to uphold the law under the color of authority, as you just mentioned, I think the repercussions and consequences should be even on a higher level. Just like they have gang enhancements for when a gang member breaks the law, I think they should have stricter enhancements for when a peace officer.
Color of law enhancement, no doubt.
You know, a board of prison employee. Yeah. I mean, this is everywhere from drug addiction programs to chaplains to all kinds of people who are involved in these activities, as well as federal employees. You know what I mean? All the way up to the warden. I mean, the warden actually told the person, you don't have to run this investigation. I'm friends with the IA here, which is the Internal Affairs. It's not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah, he finally got indicted, man, but I think that the public awareness when it comes to these issues needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? And both of us have said this numerous times. We're not anti-law enforcement in any form or fashion. You know, you break the law, there's consequences. We support that. But what we are against is those that are holding a position to uphold the law, those who are there to enforce it, who are breaking it themselves. I have no respect for any individual or any cop that puts on a uniform just to go do his job and is sitting there committing criminal activities himself.
Hey, I'm going to give you a messed up example, man, that's along these same lines, man. Back in like 2000 and probably in summer of 2003, I got busted by the Contra Costa County Narcotics Enforcement Task Force for possession of a banned assault weapon. Well, these fools that busted me, not all of them, some of them, the whole time, they were taking, and this is a proven court case, they were taking drugs that they got from their CIs or investigations or whatever, reselling them. They were operating a damn, let's just call it a massage parlor. You know what I mean? So nobody gets offended. They were operating a massage parlor. They were doing all kinds of stuff. And you got the audacity to arrest me? Bro, come on, bro. You know what I mean? You're worse than me, bro, because you got all these, it's an unstacked deck, bro. When these people, like you said, when these people in positions of authority are busted, especially, man, when you're trying to, you know, take advantage of women and their private parts and stuff like that, bro, man, that's a weird predator person, bro, using the United States government to help them violate this woman. Bro, that's crazy to me, bro. That's
bro,
crazy.
What gets me, right, is if you read the article, it says since 2019, there's been 100 convictions, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 100 charges, but I could have sworn it said 100 convictions.
Yeah.
That's only 730 days out of a year. So you're going to tell me, you know what I mean? What would that be? Every 7 days, there's a conviction. basically.
I'm gonna tell you like this, Flacco. I have 19 felony convictions on my record.
Yeah.
Do you think I got caught every time I did something?
That's my other point.
I've committed thousands of felonies, bro. Thousands. If you racked up each independent thing that I could be charged for a felony for, it'd be astronomical, bro. How many out of these arrests do you think got away with it, bro? If this many got busted, come on,
man. Think about how many people are still doing it, man. They're still committing crimes as a employee of the board of prison, man. I mean, that's the crazy part. 100 convictions out of 730 possible days.
You think some slick talking prison organization members aren't benefiting in some form or fashion?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
There's some slick talking motherfuckers, bro, that got them fools. Oh, no problem, sir. You know? Oh, man. Money.
But you never, look, you never hear about any of them getting indicted, though. You know what I'm saying? And it's a proven fact. Whether it's state or feds, it's a proven fact that in order to do the things that they've been doing, their networks, there's, you know what I mean? Their network sales or communications. The only way they're getting that is through other people who are assisting them. You know what I'm saying?
Think about this. All the articles we see are just shit that happen to get leaked, man, because, you know, well, if me and you commit a crime, we'll get blasted all over the paper, degraded, everything. But when it's one of their own, they're not releasing that shit to the public. They're not sending it to the newspapers. But you kick in my door and you find a chopper and a pound, fuck, my shit's going to be on every fucking channel, bro. Front page. Ex-gang member busted with fucking this, that, this. Police officer busted with this, that, this.
Kind of interesting timing for all this to get put out there, though. You know what I'm saying? If you notice, it kind of mentions other issues, like the the Epstein issue, that those cops that were watching him actually just got indicted over some whole different charges. You know what I mean? A gun being found, and you know what I mean? It just seems like they're using other situations to try to justify what they're doing. You know?
Yeah, you know, the reason they don't put out none of that kind of information is because it all involves dollars. It'll end up messing up their funding, this and that. Well, this violation doesn't qualify you because, you know, you allowed this woman was sexually assaulted. We lost $60 million in this lawsuit. And it comes down to dollars. They're protecting their investment. They're protecting their fucking jobs and careers and futures and pensions. And above all else, the government doesn't want to look bad.
Do you think they're trying to use this issue to kind of like, personally, like it's like a political move, though? To try to show that they're doing something about it, to try to like bring attention elsewhere. Like every time
along with this, what's going to happen is they're going to create a task force that's sort of like an enhanced version of the internal affairs, and they need $155 million to end this corruption and abuse of power within the system. It's coming with a request for more funding. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Not no idiot. You know, that's the only reason this shit is leaked. The only way this shit gets leaked is if an employee's like disgruntled and they call the paper and be like, yeah, these da-da-da-da-da. But officially, they're not leaking this shit out, bro. And if they're going to leak it out officially, it's coming with the price tag, bro.
Yeah, bringing up the attorney general, bringing up this president's administration and all that stuff. It's all being advocated for a reason to be promoted, bro, without a doubt.
You know, that's anybody out there who can't see the big picture. I just gave you a glimpse of the screen. 70 inches, ultra 4K HD. Now, am I 100% accurate? No, but I am in the ballpark. I'm in the damn. I'm a runner-up. I promise you. Just think about it, man. All you got to do is think a little bit and see what there is to benefit on this. Everything in here is negative, but they're going to try to turn it into a thing politically or financially that benefits them.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, man. It's all right there. It's, you know what I mean? It almost looks like to me like they're like operate like a bigger gang. You know what I'm saying? And they're trying to create that narrative to get that funding to suppress it.
An Associated Press investigation has found that more than 100 Federal Bureau of Prison employees have been arrested, convicted, or sentenced in criminal cases since the start of 19. Now, let's go back to what I was saying. Bro, I used to commit. Okay, think about this. You're hustling. Every sales you do is a felony, right? What if I sold 20 bags a day? I committed 20 felonies in that day. I got 19 felony convictions in my life. I've done more than that in a day many times. Think about the numbers, bro. The ones caught, because they help each other out. They sweep shit under the rug. So these are the ones that people didn't like, or they got caught on some camera, or somebody did a sting operation. This was just people that weren't liked, bro. Imagine all the ones that are liked and have respect with their comrades and shit. They're in there hustling. They're in there doing weird stuff with the inmates, bro, under threat of repercussions and shit. It's weird, bro. It's weird. But we're the bad guys.
I gotta agree. This is just crazy.
Yeah, well, I've done some messed up shit, but I ain't done no shit like that. You know, I haven't been like, hey, I'm in this group. Give me some chochon. Come on, man. It's predator stuff, man. And there should, man, the enhancements on this shit, bro, they should never get out of prison. Straight up.
And the bad thing about
shit, yeah, but when you start,
and the bad thing about this right here is it affects those that are just trying to do their 9 to 5 and trying to do right and do their job. And I've said this before. I think that you need to hold accountable not just those who engage in these acts, but if you're aware as a peace officer, it should be your sole duty to do the right thing. Forget all the statements about being a whistleblower or being a snitch as a cop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you allow these type of abuses to be affected, you're just as much guilty. It's the same way back in the days where when someone commits a hot one. If you're with 3 other people, you're going to be found guilty. So yeah, you may not be engaging in this type of illicit behavior. You may have the sense that, okay, well, I'm a righteous cop, but I'm not going to turn on my comrades. They need to have consequences to where if you're aware and you see it and you don't report it, you're just as much accountable. Only then are you going to regain the trust of the public. And that's the biggest issue that you have with law enforcement is not just that you have these bad apples that do bad things. I like to think the majority of cops are humans just like us, just trying to survive doing their job.
Bro. Everybody's a human being, man.
You know what I'm saying? But they get affected with this cycle and they don't want to be the whistleblower reporting their own cops for misconduct.
What does that sound like, Flacco? Sounds like a gang.
Right? So if you put, well, I know, exactly. So if you put consequences to where, look, you could be tried. You could lose your pension. You could lose your job. Most men are going to do what they have to do to preserve that job because this is their livelihood. Yeah. This helps support them and their families. And if you have consequences for officers that see this abuse but don't report it and allow it to happen, you're going to have a lot less of this happening. You're going to have more people that are going to be whistleblowers and do the right thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you fully, man. There's definitely a double standard when it comes to, you know, people like me, you and I used to be compared to people who are operating supposedly under some kind of criminal, I don't know, rehabilitation type systems, bro. I think, in my opinion, it's even worse. You expect a gang member, to do certain things, and when he does, you give him enhancement. You don't expect these people. You trust these people. You have these men that are in charge of women with nobody else around, and things of that nature, bro. And when they take advantage of that, bro, they should be slammed.
And this is why the public, whether it be police officers on the street or guards that are working in these prisons, this is why there's so much distrust, because the guy could be a good cop. He could give you some wiggle room. He could be solid and all that, right? But when push comes to shove, he's going to back up his fellow comrade. You get what I'm saying? That's where the distrust happens out there in these communities, man. And the only way to repair any type of trust in this community is if you hold people accountable and you start seeing officers hold the people accountable, then you're going to regain the trust in the communities. Until then, nobody out there in these inner cities are going to trust the cops because they see all the abuses that happen. I've been abused by cops out in the streets. I've been beat where the cop was just right there witnessing it. He ain't engaging in it. And then they'll try to talk to me later when I'm down at the jailhouse, talk about, man, why don't you just shut your mouth, man? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just a faulty game, bro. You know what I mean?
So the point of the message today is
accountability.
Okay, man, exactly, bro. And there should be enhancements for people who do this under the color of the law, just like there should be gang enhancements, because both, you know, factions are operating the same way, suppressing evidence, violating the law, organization, etc. It's no different, man. Nobody's immune to justice.
They're thinking the same way, though. Oh, I can't snitch on my own. You know what I mean? That's the code that they're living by. You know what I mean? Because whether you're in the workplace, you're out in the streets, no one likes that type of behavior. And that's the mindset that they have in these cops nowadays. That stuff needs to change. There needs to be some accountability.
All right, you two, man. That was just, we found that fascinating. You know what I mean? Because I mean, who's the real gangster? There's gangsters. They're no different. You do those kind of things, those certain kind of crimes, certain kind of intimidation tactics, certain organization, certain reluctance to provide information. It's the same no matter what walk of life you're in. And in my opinion, a little bit worse. That's just me. I might be wrong. Stay out of prison. You won't have to worry about this shit, YouTube. Have a good rest of your day. We'll holler at y'all on the live later. And stay away from them suckers, man.